Coming up, a staple in downtown Whitesburg could be moving.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. For more than 40 years, Apple Shop has been headquartered in the same building in downtown Whitesburg. However, the group has had to largely move out after the July flood caused extensive damage. As WYMT's Keaton Hall reports, the group may be considering a permanent move.
Arts and media organization Apple Shop has been documenting Appalachian culture since 1969, moving into their iconic Whitesburg building in 1982. However, the group is now considering a move after the historic July floods destroyed the building's entire first floor.
We're cognizant that this building is on the river and that it probably will flood again at some point in the future. And so we're doing our due diligence and trying to figure out what the best options are for the organization as it moves into the future.
The flood destroyed Apple Shop's theater, radio studio, and art gallery, as well as heavily damaging their historical archives.
I'm sure people have seen the pictures of us trying to rescue items out of the building, and we're in the process of trying to restore and recover those still, and it will be a long recovery process for those items.
Daryl Royce is the finance director for Apple Shop. He's been working from the basement of the Whitesburg post office since the flood.
We're in very temporary offices and have been since the day of the flood, and still trying to get a little bit more, have a more secure workplace for our employees.
Royce says no decisions have been made about the building's future, and the group remains committed to the county.
We're committed to Letcher County. We just want to thank the community and all of our public officials for their support and appreciate their time and willingness to help us continue to be a part of the community.
Still, Royce says they're exploring all options as the building's current location sits 8 feet below the floodplain. In Whitesburg, Keaton Hall, WYMT Mountain News.
Apple Shop's board of directors is meeting in June, and Royce says they may decide then what their long-term decision for the building will be. New and developing tonight, the Harlan County Sheriff's Office is investigating a possible attempted abduction of a young child. It happened in the Pansy community off West Highway 72 around 8 p.m. Deputies are looking for 2 men who are said to be driving a red Chevy Impala. If you have any information, you should contact the Harlan County Sheriff's Office at 573-1313.
Well, it was a mild, pretty nice day all throughout the region, but we do have those changes working in as we head later tonight and into tomorrow. A look back at the nice day we had, though. Look at these temperatures, upper 60s to near 70. Yeah, that'll do for early May, especially since we've been dealing with those temperatures in the 50s recently. Temperatures, well, holding steady depending on where you are. There we go, trying to get some of those numbers updated real quick. Upper 40s and low to even middle 50s in some spots this evening. Notice high clouds starting to work into the Cumberland Valley from the southwest. We'll see those increase as we head through the next little bit. Your forecast first as we head through tonight, going zone by zone. You see we're dealing with those temperatures in the low to middle, even upper 40s at times. As we head into the Kentucky River Valley, same thing, upper 30s to low 40s. I think many of us do stay in the 40s, though. You see some cooler numbers where we stay more clear in parts of the Big Sandy. Now, I'll have the very latest on when we see a return to some even more spring-like temperatures in a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Evan, thank you. University of Kentucky student A.J. Miller was trying to study abroad in Russia this year, but that was halted by the war in Ukraine. Months later, his family home in Breathitt County was destroyed by 8 feet of water from last summer's historic flooding. Now, after overcoming those struggles, he's set to graduate this weekend. Garrett Weimer and photojournalist Darnell Crenshaw explain how the 21-year-old managed to finish school despite the obstacles.
Здравствуйте, меня зовут AJ. Я учусь на университете Kentucky.
Translation from Russian, he says hello. He's A.J. Miller, a student from the University of Kentucky. Miller is from Breathitt County, and he wanted to expand his knowledge of the world beyond eastern Kentucky, so he decided to major in Russian studies. He studied the language for 3 years and wanted to study in Russia in 2022, but jailed Americans in that country gave him pause.
I did have my trepidations about it.
Regardless, he pressed on, but the war between Russia and Ukraine thwarted the trip.
I'm still a little jaded about it, and there's no control. I have no control over that.
Speaking of no control, months later in July of that year, historic floods wreaked havoc on eastern Kentucky. His community of Lost Creek, one of the hardest hit areas. Miller's house had 8 feet of water inside. His family escaped by getting on the roof and boating to safety.
So it was another big event in my life.
Going into his last year of college was looking rough, a home destroyed, and the thought of furthering his Russian studies on hold.
I thought about giving up at that moment, but I picked myself up.
Later, another opportunity arose. Study abroad in Latvia, a country that borders Russia, and parts of that country speak the Russian language. Miller wanted to stay home and help clean up, but his mom encouraged him to go, and he went.
It was better suited for me, and I didn't feel in danger.
When he came back from Latvia, flood cleanup was waiting for him, and he had to finish up his last year. He calls it a very stressful time and wanted to quit school again.
But I didn't, so I'm kind of proud of myself for that.
A story of pressing on and finishing through the toughest of obstacles. In Lexington, Garrett Weimer, WYMT Mountain News.
Miller would like to work in immigration services, and he says his family is building a new home in eastern Breathitt County. The Housing Development Alliance is once again offering their summer internship program to students in Breathitt, Knott, Leslie, or Perry counties. Students must be between the ages of 18 and 20. HDA Director of Development and Communications Mindy Miller says there are 4 paid positions available, and interns will get to work alongside their carpenters to learn skills building and repairing homes for flood survivors and low-income families.
One of the things that we're in the process of doing right now is expanding our crews. So we're going from 5 crews to 10 crews. And the reason we're doing that is because there's so much work we have to do in this community following the flood. So we're still working with flood survivors, but we're also working with people who are not flood survivors, who just need help as well.
Miller says their staff will be at the Perry County Central High School Job Fair next Tuesday, May 9th. Students can apply there, or they can find information on ways to apply on our website at WYMT.com. Harlan County and Bob Howard made a great impact on the community through teaching, coaching, and his artwork. But he was also close with his family. Howard died unexpectedly yesterday at the age of 70. Howard would often spend hours cheering on his children and grandchildren at sporting events along with the students he taught. Former Superintendent Tim Saylor says Howard was always talking about how much he loved his family.
I don't think there was a time that I was with the man, and I was with him a lot over the course of 12 years as superintendent, that he did not bring up his family at some point in time.
Harlan County High School Principal Kathy Napier, who learned and worked with Bob Howard, said he was an exceptional role model. You can find Howard's funeral arrangements on our website. Officers in Floyd County will be traveling to Washington, D.C. next week after receiving some help from the community. After the death of officers William Petrie, Ralph Frazier, and Jacob Chaffins in June 2022, the officers' names will be etched into the National Fallen Officer Memorial in D.C. during National Police Week. After donations poured in from the community and several organizations, officers say they and the families will now get to attend the ceremonies.
The families, it means a lot to them to be able to, to attend these things and know that their loved ones are being honored as the ultimate sacrifice, as we would say, in law enforcement, to lay down your life to serve others, to serve the community, and to, be there to help. Without a doubt, they saved lives that day, and, we're forever grateful for that.
The Floyd County Community Foundation made the most recent donation of $10,000 to help with travel, food, and hotels. Along with serving his community as a KSP trooper and officer, Deputy William Petrie also served as a Shriner, On Friday, the Floyd County Shrine Club will be remembering and honoring the work of Petrie and his dedication to helping children in his community throughout his time as a Shriner. The Shriners' annual golf tournament at Beaver Valley Golf Course in Allen is held each year. Proceeds from the tournament will go to Shriners Hospitals for Children and helping with kids who may need transportation to and from doctor's appointments. People across eastern Kentucky and the nation paused and prayed together as part of the National Day of Prayer. This week, a group of South Korean missionaries are in southeastern Kentucky to spread the word of God. They joined the National Day of Prayer ceremony in downtown London. A translator told us why they came.
He just wants you all to know that the Gwangmyeong Church, the Korean church, was a church founded on prayer. Their foundation and their core is still prayer. And this is why that it's important that you all understand that we are sending our 40 teams here, 410 members total, across the United States to share that same belief in prayer.
The pastor says the group hopes to visit more churches in the future and continue spreading the word of God. A big announcement for Kentucky's foster children and those who provide care for them. Governor Andy Beshear says his administration is providing $41.5 million to the foster care system. The funds will start being distributed this month to the 45 providers and their more than 120 foster care agencies. The funds are a result of cost savings the state has achieved by reducing the number of children in foster care. From Lamborghinis to Porsches, the streets of Whitesburg were filled with exotic cars. Tonight, the Backroads of Appalachia partnered with Project EG to host the Whitesburg Supercar Festival. Locals got the chance to see the cars up close as hundreds of car enthusiasts from throughout the region brought their rides.
You know, we're here to, again, see the sights, see the towns, hang out with some of the locals. You know, it's a nice area, very nice town people, very nice city that we came from. We came from Asheville initially, but, you know, just here to drive.
The event also partnered with the Whitesburg nonprofit, the Sapling Center, which supports local troubled youth. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, we hear from experts about the chances of a third-party candidate emerging and possibly winning the 2024 presidential election.
Plus, we continue to watch the potential for some more spring-like weather. Those details in a few minutes.